They should start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of terror, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares are the best part of my day.
The goods from the wood.
Hot damn.
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I'm Pat Riley.
I'm Mr. Goodnight, man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
And today we are joined by genuinely one of my absolute favorite comedians to watch. This guest, if you have never been to Los Angeles, just believe me when I tell you that no matter the venue, be it a well-publicized book show or be it a goddamn open mic in the back of a shitty grocery store, when this man approaches the stage, every comic goes, oh shit, Raj is up. We got to go watch this. So he is absolutely one of my favorite joke writers and proud to call the guy a friend. Please welcome my friend.
Raj Desai.
Raj Desai is here. Yeah, finally.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for such a nice intro.
Well, it's you know, I'm not bullshitting. That's some real shit, man.
Yeah.
Raj Desai, too, can we say this has also been on Curious George?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, there's an episode of Curious George. I believe if anybody wants to look it up, I believe it's called Curious George Asaurus, where Professor Raj Desai is coming to the museum.
Wait, you're
It's not me, but the guy's name he's a paleontologist. And I actually loved Curious George when I was a kid, and I get a lot of people who have like a kid who's like 2 or 3 who's like, you know, there's a guy named Raj Desai on the Curious George. I guess he's been on many episodes besides Curiosaurus. He's been on other ones.
huh?
He shows up at least once because
Yeah.
you know he's always hanging out with
Yeah.
scientists.
Yeah,
You understand?
I mean, it's an awesome thing to be associated with. I loved Curious George when I was a kid.
Which one was your favorite Curious George book?
I don't know the names. I mean,
Yeah.
I read them all, and I had a kind of embarrassing. I had a Curious George doll. It's kind of funny. My cousin, who was maybe like 8 or something, was like, "I'm done with this. You can have it." And then I guess he missed it, so his mom had to buy him another Curious George doll. He was trying to dump it off on me. I was like 4 or something.
No, my favorite Raj. This is like a celebration of Raj at the beginning. My favorite Raj. I mean, there's many. There was the, and I'm just gonna ruin every joke that you tell.
Nobody can tell him. That's the thing. Nobody can tell him.
The trampoline basketball one is quite possibly one
Oh,
of my
God,
favorite
yeah.
jokes I've heard in LA comedy. And then the one where you explain hope floating is
Oh right! Oh my God! Oh. Jeez.
the Scoomy nominated hope floats joke.
That's giving nominated.
Wait, it was just nominated.
I don't know. I think
It might have.
Kidding, yeah.
I think it was. It was
might have.
nominated. I know
Nomination
that.
is good enough. Sometimes. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
At my favorite, kind of a throwaway one, but still to this day I can't think about it without laughing.
Okay.
I was going to watch Goodfellas the other night, but hey, I forgot about it.
Oh fuck.
Well, thank you. I never have told that one since, probably.
Those are always the best ones, though.
I don't blame you, but it was real damn funny. Especially because I think we were in one of them, one of them patios or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Santa Monica was like performing in a grotto
Yeah.
or something.
I don't know. Yeah, probably, yeah. Ugh. Boy, that's so funny.
Those throwaway ones sometimes can be the best. Like the ones, especially if they never work again and they become like a weird, dragon you're chasing forever.
Yeah, I've had plenty of jokes I've told. Like the first time I told them, it worked really well, and then never again.
Yeah.
You're just like, what happened?
Yeah.
What? So weird.
So Raj has a penchant for referencing 90s television shows in his jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one thing where you had a joke about the show Reba.
Yeah.
And then there was like a thing where this was like an aside where you talked about how you were looking through the channel guide on your television and you came across the listing for Reba, and they have the synopsis for Reba, and the episode was, in this episode, Reba tries to figure out what happens when you make too much spaghetti or something like that.
No. It was all it said was Reba cooks too much pasta. That was it.
And that was the whole show. That was everything.
I've never seen the show Reba.
Doesn't seem like
I
much
haven't
happens
either.
on
I
it.
feel a little bad. I kept making fun of it. I've heard a lot of people say it when I tell the joke. They're like, "That was really funny," but it's actually a pretty interesting show. It has
He does more than just make pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, when you have to boil anything down to 4 words, it's hard. You know,
Right.
whoever's writing those. But one of my other favorites is
It's easy to boil stuff down when it's pasta, though.
yeah. Is one time, you know, the actual print TV guide, they really had to make them short, right?
Yeah.
Because it was like that small boxes and stuff. And do you guys know that cook Emerald had his own sitcom?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. Briefly. Yeah.
And also, and all it said was Emerald is forced to wear a new jacket.
They were trying to redo the puffy shirt episode of Seinfeld, but with Emerald.
Yeah.
This is why nobody remembers that Emerald actually had a sitcom, because clearly it did not last long.
It
Also-
did not. But here's what I brought that up, and maybe on stage, maybe off stage, and someone said to me, like, that was the highest testing sitcom in NBC history.
Really?
Yeah. And then they put it out, and it just tanked.
Yeah. Because Seinfeld was like the one of the lowest.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, conversely,
Didn't
yeah.
Seinfeld crawl along for like a season or so before it really took
I
off?
think
Yeah.
A couple seasons. I
The only reason they did Seinfeld in the first place is because NBC wanted to hold Jerry Seinfeld there. So when Johnny Carson left, they wanted to give him the Tonight Show. So
That's
Seinfeld
right, yeah.
was essentially just NBC being like, "Please don't leave. Please don't go to Fox. Here, we'll let you do your weird show."
And like Brandon Tartikoff, who was the president of NBC, had like a weird
He
fascination
liked it or
with the
something.
show. Yeah.
He liked it. Yeah. It's funny. I heard Jason Alexander. I read some interview or something with him a little while ago, and somebody was saying like, "Oh, you know, could you guys have made Seinfeld today? They would have canceled it or whatever, you know, because they wouldn't give a show a chance to breathe like that." And
Right.
It's like, well, I don't know if that's true. We definitely could have made Seinfeld today because of cell phones. Every problem could have been solved with a phone call. Like,
Yeah.
thing was like,
Yeah, there's like so
Yeah.
much involving
Yeah.
answering machines and missing
like
calls
so.
yeah.
It's funny with 90s TV shows. I was thinking about it because I just read some joke online, but like 90s television shows, when you really think about it, just like some of the dumbest shit you've ever like. I was thinking about like the two that I was thinking of were Family Matters and Step by Step. Like those two shows, like if you look at the trajectory of those shows, they're just mind blowing.
Family Matters changes a lot from original conception.
It started out as like kind of a Cosby Show type show, and then it turned into like science fiction. Like straight up, like,
Yeah, when Steve Urkel makes a shrink machine
yeah.
and they shrink down, it was like a living cartoon.
But Urkel just like, I mean, that show has, you know, it's pre-Urkel and post-Urkel, and post-Urkel is a different world. And I would maybe even a third stage of Urkel when they introduced the cool version of him.
Urkel, when you think about it, is sort of like an anti-Fonz because he's a guest
The anti-Fonz.
that took over the show.
Oh my
But
God.
except where Fonz was like
Yeah.
the coolest person in the world, Urkel is the least the coolest person in the world until that Urkel thing.
Yeah.
Was that a commentary on something? You know, like is man fully good, fully evil? Is there different parts of human nature? Things like that.
It
Dualism.
was so like, I mean, and I'll totally admit to it. I mean, I think I'm the oldest guy here. And when I first saw it, I think 7th grade, and I first saw Urkel, I was like, this guy is fucking hilarious. My God. Feed me some more Urkel. And I loved it. And I loved him. He was hilarious. He loved cheese, all that stuff. And then like,
What's
He
not
sounded
so?
like Bob Dylan.
No, it's so funny because it's just like the ways in which they like they really hammered like the most, like the way in which they it wasn't just like the way he looked, like the depiction of like being a nerd for Urkel
oh my
was
God.
just like
Oh
he
my
played accordion, he loved polka,
He had high
loved
waters.
lederhosen.
It had high waters.
He loved lederhosen. He loved cheese.
oh my God.
He had one of those cars that had like the door in the front that like one of those cars that's always beefing with Mr. Bean's car.
It was like one of them
yeah.
idiots that writes into like Ancestry.com and he finds, oh, looks like I'm from Lithuania. I was trying to act like, you know, he's some kind of Nordic person or something.
Well, I think like, I mean, there's a lot of those shows in the 90s, and I was a nerd. I mean, I did well in school. I was totally a nerd, and they would have like on Saved by the Bell, they'd be like, "This is either nerds," and they had like nobody ever dressed like that ever, like suspenders with high waisted pants and pocket protect.
Yeah,
nerds just dressed like normal people,
Right.
Maybe had glasses or did well in school. There was just like this thing where like nerds acted like that. I don't remember ever meeting anyone like that in my life.
The science nerd.
Well, maybe, but like,
Every show with kids always had like the nerd, and there was always the inventor kid.
yeah,
But have any of y'all ever known or met an inventor kid?
no, no.
I actually met one once.
Yeah?
I actually met, his name was Sam. He did things like hooked up like an arcade cabinet to play a Nintendo and things like that.
Where did you meet this?
This was just a friend of my brother's.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I'm just saying that archetype does actually
I
exist.
mean, I ran a con like that when I was in middle school, but that was just to like get out of class. Where I would just like, I'd be like, oh yeah, the computer in the class is really like jacked up. There's other computers back in the storage room. Let's fix the computer in the class. Let me fix the computer in the class. Let me just go over, and I would just like go wander around the halls.
so Pat, you were like the real life Saved by the Bell.
Basically, yeah. I would just like it was a con basically, but I didn't have a pocket protector.
I think they should have made a show out of Pat's life.
That was one of those things where I don't think that there were actually nerds that were.
So wait, under the pretense of fixing computers, you just left the class?
Yeah, I would just go and like walk around the halls.
Once you get that pass, man, you outside, and then
Yeah,
you're good.
exactly.
You're out of Shawshank. You can,
I would just I'd just be like sitting around drinking juice from the cafeteria and stuff.
That's how it's gonna be in my family. From the biggest branch to the smallest leaf, so you're gonna see similarity in my family. That's how it's gonna be.
you said you were nerdy growing up. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Texas, Arlington, Texas.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah. Mostly there. It's like a DFW area.
Yeah.
Do you have Whataburger?
Yeah, we have Whataburger.
Have you ever noticed that they logo, either them or Wonder Woman has stole their logo from one or the other because it is the same.
Whataburger actually has great breakfast tacos if you're ever there.
Oh yeah, it's interesting because that's the burger chain that the Texans are extremely evangelical about. Yeah, I was talking to somebody who listens to the show on Twitter, and they said that they opened an In-N-Out Burger in Austin, and the first week there was like lines out the door and shit, and now it is as busy as your average
In-N-Out
Burger
or
King
oh,
or
really?
McDonald's.
Oh,
Yeah,
fascinating.
no, because Texans have just openly revolted. They're like, oh fuck you.
I don't blame them because I am very anti In-N-Out, but that might be another story. But
Really?
Well, you remember we talked about this, I think, at the Boogie, about the way they wrap the hamburgers?
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
it makes it into a disgusting mess.
Yeah, they opened a Whataburger in where I grew up in Florida.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and it tanked. Yeah, because for some reason, well, people from Florida just have zero taste. They're obsessed with Steak and Shake there.
Oh, okay. Is
Because
that the, that's the one in
that's
Florida?
like the go-to.
Gotcha.
Because there's nothing better than ordering like a mediocre burger at 2 a.m. and being served by like some like female juggalo who's completely like just checked out on life. Juggalo. I'm sorry, we have juggalo listeners, but there's
Juggle listeners, please.
yeah, but they opened they opened the Whataburger. It was a 24-hour Whataburger over by the like Walmart Supercenter on the street called Sarno, which is like quite possibly the most Florida street that you ever like. So it's like every news story that you hear about Florida, you can condense it into one street. That's Sarno Road.
Okay.
There would just be these like stories that would be on like the police blotter of the newspaper where it's just like, yeah, some guy came into the Whataburger and was just naked and passed out. like, I guess he had smoked like some synthetic marijuana that he bought at the flea market.
They were going to rename it to What a Boner. After that.
And it was just like basically like it just turned into the stage set for all the like really good police blotter material was like the Whataburger on Sarno. It was
Wow. I feel like, that's one of those things, like, even when people, I would be like, why doesn't In-N-Out just expand? People talk about it all the time, and I think they said it was because of the beef. They didn't want to ship it far.
Yeah, I think they have some rule about their restaurants all have to be within 3 hours
Something
of
like that.
like a
Yeah,
distribution
exactly.
plant.
And I'm telling you, In-N-Out is not to the nation's necessarily taste. In-N-Out is
That's
a
the other
very
thing.
Southern Southern California puny hamburger.
Well, I think it's like what we were saying about what happened in Texas, where they kind of ran into everybody's very evangelical about their local
well,
food.
I mean, it's interesting you said about Whataburger. I'm like, because when I was a kid, I was like, everybody loves Whataburger. Why don't they just expand? Maybe they tried and they failed.
They were out here, I think, at one point.
Whataburger was. I know they came to. They had one in Montgomery, Alabama that failed, and there is one still in there's a couple around Birmingham.
Yeah.
But
I think they used to be in various places like Arizona and California, but that might have been like the 80s and before.
yeah,
And what I've noticed about LA is there's very few Wendy's and very few Arby's. For whatever reason.
yeah.
Those two just have
There's never enough Wendy's per capita.
I mean, there's like two. There's one in Culver City. There's one up on
Yeah.
Vermont.
There's one
Like,
right on Vermont here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is. Like, why can't they appeal to?
I think they try to be exclusive like that or something, because if you ever notice, most places you go, you can never find as many Wendy's as
I
all
agree,
the
but
others.
somebody told me that Wendy's has just passed Burger King to be the second biggest.
I don't doubt that.
Well, Burger King has got real ghetto since the days.
King is bad.
Since the days when Humpty Hump got busy in their bathroom. Burger King has become the king of like, where's the beef? Because their burgers are getting smaller and their prices are getting higher and their fries just keep getting worse.
But yeah, there's the thing that always surprises me is that Arby's is always like in LA, especially with like people in comedy. Arby's is the go-to for like just the shittiest restaurant, and I never got that.
I have made fun of Arby's myself, and I gotta say, I thought it was like pretty unique and good. Like every other place is a burger place. You got the roast beef. What's wrong with that? Like they're offering something different.
Well,
I think it's the hat outside looks silly. Is what it is. It doesn't look upscale when you look at it from the outside.
I agree, and I feel like it's my understanding. I can't remember where I first had curly fries, but it was either Jack in the Box or Arby's.
Right.
I feel like curly fries was a pretty big invention.
The curly fries are great, but somebody hit me to the jive as to how they make their roast beef, and
not good.
it involves powder and water and waiting.
Oh no!
It is like you get
yeah,
like,
that's how you make bread too.
but not meat. Bread's not meat. That's how they make the roast beef. You have to like mix up a fat yeast powder with.
Well, they're brewing up some beef.
It's fucking crazy. It's not
like
exactly
alchemy making their food.
It really is, and then you have to grow the beef essentially in some sort of warmer, and then they like shave it off in the thing. That's why the beef that you get on a Arby's roast beef sandwich is unlike any other meat you've ever had. Is because it was reconstituted from some sort of powder.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
How's that legal?
it shouldn't be. It's like a fucking. It's like Dr.
Well, it might be
Frankenstein.
magical or something, so it's outside like normal like legal type laws.
God.
Like it sits in like a bucket of some sort of fluid, like feta cheese or something. It just kind of floats in there, and then you shave it off.
That's
then
fine.
Well, it's it's again,
It's the future.
Yeah, that's your Dismo
the
disgusting
future.
things and that.
beef of the
The
future.
Jetsons made their food from like out of nowhere too,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it is the future.
It's the closest we have to that.
and there's not enough of them. There never is.
Yeah. Well, I feel like somebody told me Taco Bell beans are pumped out of like almost a soap dispenser type.
Oh, they have a gun.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Taco Bell has no meat in their taco at all. It's just because it's flavored, colored, I should say brown, does not make it meat.
Jack in the Box tacos are soy. They are not beef.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Wow.
They are not tacos neither because they are just scary.
The thing that I always remember about Jack in the Box tacos is I remember one time. Apparently, there's Jack in the Boxes in North Carolina.
Still?
I think so. And I remember I was flying from Florida to Connecticut, and we had a stopover in Charlotte, and there was this guy who might have approximated like the Steve Urkel pocket protector nerd more so than anybody else. Like that, like we were talking about like the nerd that like wears the pocket. Like I think this dude actually is the closest that we get to that ideal that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he had like 4 like greasy like white bags. And I was just like, he was standing there and like, cause our flight got canceled and we had to wait in the line to get new tickets. And he was standing there and he had like these 4 greasy like white bags. And there was this guy's just like, hey, what you got in those bags? And he was just like, listen, we don't have Jack in the Box in Connecticut. And I tell all my friends how great Jack in the Box tacos are.
Wow.
So I bought them Jack in the Box tacos.
And by the time he gets them, they're going to be how old?
Like these are like and it was just like the grease was sweating through the bag.
You know
Like,
what's so nasty is they fry the shell and they have the lettuce in with it when they do it.
yeah, and it's just like it looked like somebody who was like wearing like a white undershirt that had done like yard work for 4 hours. That's what the bags looked like. And it was just like I remember just looking at me, he's just like clutching these bags like they're the Halliburton in the like spy movie.
By the way, if you don't live in an area with the Jack in the Box, I should say the thing you need to know about Jack in the Box tacos is that the cheese on them is a craft single that is just shoved
right.
down.
Well, you're not missing anything other than like. Jack in the Box is completely like the most. I think it's the most like it's in that Burger King realm where it's just like the most mediocre.
Did you think I was paying it a compliment
what I
by
think-
pointing out
You know
the
what I
Kraft
think,
cheese single in the burger?
There is a certain type of taco you encounter on the West Coast with the like Tito's tacos with the fried shell and with that horse meat taste and stuff inside of it. And the Jack in the Box taco is one of the only national chain tacos that approximates that kind of taco. And I doubt maybe there's like a small Mexican place here and there, but I doubt you can probably get much stuff like that in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I will say, like, one of the dumbest fast food inventions I've seen, and there's plenty, of course, is for a while, Jack in the Box had the nacho taco. Do you guys remember this? This is where they cut the taco in half, put it in a tray, and then sprinkled crap on top of it. Do you guys remember the nacho taco?
It was just something to do with all the broken shells.
You could just make that yourself.
I mean, it was so...
That's kind of
it was
genius,
so dumb.
actually.
It is kind of genius because it's like...
It's
Taco
recycling.
Bell is the best about coming up with idiotic...
Right.
or
Because
innovative.
Taco Bell, as has been pointed out many times, is 7 ingredients in a bunch of different
Yeah,
shapes.
and you do it in this thing, and you call it a chalupa, and then you fry it or whatever, and you call it enchilada or whatever.
Just shapes. It's a
Yeah.
bunch of-
Gorditas.
Yeah.
And they had a little dog and everything.
Yeah.
And I used to work at Pizza Hut.
Oh,
and
you used to work at Pizza Hut
it
in
was
Texas, or was
in
that
Texas?
out here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I worked there in high school, and then I worked there in college again, and I was always like, why?
What was it like going back?
Oh, it was. You know what? I wanted to work at. This is here. I was dying to work at Blockbuster or Hollywood Video because you get free rentals.
Yeah, of course.
And I could not get the job, so I just went back to Pizza Hut. Was
Man,
like,
I can relate hardcore to that. I worked at Hungry Howie's, delivered pizzas at Hungry Howie's in college. After that, I worked. I had an office job where I worked at a community arts center, and then I was doing substitute teaching for a while. And then once I started doing stand up and was like getting serious
Yeah.
about that. Substitute teaching doesn't pay shit,
Right.
so I went back to delivering, and this time I went back instead of a pizza place. I worked at a steak place that delivered.
okay.
They delivered
Steaks?
and they were called Stakeout. And yes, it was owned by a former cop. We've talked about this on the show, so I won't say it. But that feeling of like, you get out of delivery and then you're walking back in, and you're like,
yeah,
wow.
going back to pizza was not great. It was not optimal, but by that time they had raised minimum wage, so I was making a little more.
Did they have the wing city or whatever the fuck it's called?
No. I don't know, but forget that. Did they have either a centipede or a Gallagher machine?
Probably.
Well, no. Did they have the buffet?
The first one I worked at was just delivery carryout, which in some ways is good.
Yeah.
The second one I worked at was
The buffet.
was a sit down, dine in, carryout,
Yeah.
and it had the buffet.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, when I lived in Georgia, they had the one shopping center in town, and it's the one with the Walmart, and that's like the center of all activity. And they had a Pizza Hut and a Pizza Inn both in the parking lot, and it was just like a race to the bottom between the two with their like
For Pizza Out, it's Pizza In.
Yeah, for their all you can eat buffets.
I mean, I loved pizza buffets when I was a kid, but my favorite is the fake pizza desserts they try to come up with.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember they had a chocolate chip cookie pizza at Pizza Inn, I believe, and then it's and then the Papa John's had the same thing, which they called the Pizookie. They had to come up with a dumb name.
The Pizookie.
Yeah.
It sounds
And
sexual.
Pizza Hut offered
frankly.
the Pizzert, which was disgusting. You would take a normal
Dessert is disgusting.
Oh my god, it was so gross. You would take like a normal pizza crust and then dump apple topping over it. And
Oh
just
yeah,
cook it.
we used
Oh
to
my
make that
God.
shit in
It's
Howie's.
disgusting.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that the era of the P Zone too? The
Yeah,
Pizza Hut
I
I worked
Pizza
there.
Zone.
Yes, I worked there during the pizza.
Did you work during the stuffed crust era?
I did. The stuffed crust was. If you guys want a little secret, how you make that, you take a normal pizza, a normal crust, and then you take like 4 or 5 string cheeses and
Yep.
just paste them around and then pull the crust over and cook it. It's disgusting. Perhaps the dumbest thing that I was there for was the edge pizza, which was advertised as the toppings go out to the edge.
Oh.
Yeah, which isn't a
So
horrible
it's just
idea.
no crust.
And it wasn't like a special. They gave you. You just cut the crust off.
Yeah.
but it was wrapped.
Wait, you
Also
did-
known as the 2-year-old
Wait,
pizza.
you didn't actually cook it with no
Any
crust.
different.
You just cooked it and then just
Cut the crust off.
That's
But
amazing.
it had that like Mountain Dew marketing to it, where it was just like
yeah,
it was
they-
just like the edge.
Yeah.
Have you been to the edge? I mean tasted toppings cavorting with garlic and Italian herbs. I'm talking flavor that can't be contained within the boundaries of any ordinary pizza. The edge takes taste to the edge and beyond, and it's only at Pizza Hut. The best pizzas under one roof.
all the way out to the edge.
Well, apparently it's less food though, because they cut the edge off of it.
Yeah, it's basically like less food. You can throw your crust away yourself. It didn't last long. I feel like stuffed crust lasted. Stuffed crust is probably
Still going.
there.
Well, I remember,
Well,
I remember
crust is good because if it's a place that has lousy crust.
Yeah, when stuffed crust came out, that was like I remember that there was just an absolute it was like in that sort of moment where you have those like food crazes, like Snackwells, like Devil's Food cookies and stuff. Like the stuffed crust pizza, like it worked for a really short
yeah.
time, but like it was the thing.
But I'll
where-
say
They
that-
still have it. They still have it at Little Caesars and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that what Pizza Hut really changed about the delivery pizza game was the Lovers line. That changed things. It made
Wait, what was
every-
that?
Meat lovers.
Oh, the meat lovers.
cheese
Oh,
lovers,
yeah,
the veggie
yeah.
lovers. Every place now has some version of that, a pre-selected like the Meatzaganza or whatever.
Let me ask you this. Have you noticed the horrible pizza inflation that has happened in this country unnoticed since gas prices went way the hell up?
I agree because pizza they charge a delivery fee that doesn't count as the tip for the driver. So you got to tip the driver and pay the delivery fee, and I think it has gone up, which
used
is
to be.
probably normal.
Yeah, but like
or,
back,
you know.
but it like too much, too fast. Like back
Maybe,
in the
yeah.
'80s, $10 with a tip, you could get a pizza
Oh, yeah.
to eat like 2.
Well, I have a Domino's down the street, and they always do the thing with the carryout where it's like
Oh, yeah.
$7.
Great deal, yeah.
Which is awesome because it's like, well, by the time that anybody would deliver the pizza,
Yeah.
like I could walk back to my place
Oh,
with
yeah.
the Domino's pizza, and it's like, it's fine. It's not a big deal.
I sometimes have done carry out just to because it's like I'm already out. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'll just do the carry out. It saves you like $5.
I get to carry out a lot, but I tell you, these days the way the pizza is, it's like it's cheaper to get 2 of them, so that you end up spending like $20 instead of 10.
After I worked at Pizza the second time, I basically have not eaten there since. It's not even. I don't think it's any worse than any of the other places. It's just like the smell and
Yeah.
it just.
But then
it's like,
you could
it's
go
like
to-
going back to Vietnam or something.
But then you go to the combination Pizza Hut Taco Bell. and it's- yeah.
Yeah, there used to be just one of them. It was down in Redondo, but they done took out the Pizza Hut part.
There was a combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell on La Brea and Venice, and I remember I did the personal pan pizza with the chalupa on top of it.
Oh, really?
It was amazing.
Oh my god! Wow.
Were you there?
It was the most disgusting looking
God,
thing ever,
yeah.
but it was magic.
It was great when you could mix them up like
Yeah,
that. But that's the thing. The fact that you could go in and get the breadsticks or the pizza and a gordita with it and things like that.
Yeah,
or
I
what?
mean, it's I would also say like the way I looked at it when I found out. I mean, this was post when I worked there. I was like, oh, you could have gotten kind of if you worked at a combination KFC Taco Bell or Pizza Taco Bell, you got 2 for $1. This is double the work. You got 2 resumes. You know, two resumes. That's not bad. Double up.
The worst one I ever saw was a combination. What was it? It was a combination Taco Bell, A&W, Long John Silver.
Oh boy! Wow.
Yeah, that was just
If it was just an A&W Long John Silver's, that would be like
Long
the
John
redheaded stepchild of the Yum Empire.
I contend that Long John Silver's is the second worst.
It's
Fast food restaurant
I have
of
to
all time.
disagree on all this.
Captain D's is the worst.
I took my friend to Captain D's in Augusta, and he was on a diet, didn't want to eat. No, he had like the grilled stuff, and he loved it.
Wow.
He'd never been to one before, and he loved it. So
the Captain D's is the first time I ever had green fish and chips. Like the fish was green.
Were you at Pizza Hut during the era of the Insider Pizza? Do you remember that?
No, I'm fascinated.
So there's a story that goes along with this that I'm gonna play a little sound clip here in a second because it cracks me the fuck up to no end. Pizza Hut had a thing in the early 2000s where they were doing it was called Insider Crust, and basically it was the Insider Pizza where it was essentially just a pizza shaped calzone. They just had the pizza and then more crust on top.
So it's like a stuffed pizza at Sbarro.
Right, yeah, exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
God.
if you were to just look at it from the top, it would just look like dough and there was no obvious cheese, you know.
Oh my God.
And
so it was like a meat pie or a cheese pie.
right.
Yeah.
So in order to advertise the Insider Crust pizza, the Pizza Hut company was like, oh, we want to get somebody to write a jingle for this. And they approached my favorite band ever, Ween, and they asked Ween to make them an ad and paid them a tremendous amount of fucking money.
Good for them.
And Ween being two fucking stoner dudes from Pennsylvania, they got as high as you can possibly get, and they came up with this. This was the first one. This is what they came up with and presented this. This was presented at a corporate meeting to Pizza Hut.
Wow.
Where did cheese go? I don't know. Where did cheese go? I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Where did cheese go?
Who was the idiot that paid for this shit?
Where did cheese go? I don't know.
They were paid a lot of money for this. And
All they had to do was take a picture of the thing with a slice cut out of it so people knew it had cheese on the inside.
so, of course, they played that song at the meeting, and everybody goes, no, what the fuck? No, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Tell them to do it again.
Okay.
So they call up Ween and they're like, we don't like this.
Okay.
It's dumb. Do it again. And they just decided to get themselves fired. And so they just sent this back to them. This is the second version.
Where the motherfucking cheese go? Where the motherfucking cheese go? I don't know.
And then they were fired.
Please tell me they didn't get paid for that.
I
second.
mean, I think they probably got paid for whatever, one day of work, whatever, for the first one, but then we're fired. But yeah.
Whoever was working for Pizza Hut, y'all are really dumb. Don't get your favorite nerd band to do a commercial. Just get a goddamn advertising agency. That's why they exist.
Oh man, it's my favorite Pizza Hut related anything.
I mean, it's like, as you said, you don't get your favorite nerd. Like, if you work at...
What did you think they were gonna
If
do?
you work at Burger King, you don't get Primus to do your...
Nowadays, you pay them to sell out and be on your commercial.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Speaking of chain restaurants, have you ever fucked with the Shoneys, Raj?
I've been to one or two. I don't think they're that common in Texas. To be
Is that right?
honest.
I
don't
thought
think so.
they were all gone. You know?
I don't think they're that common anywhere
When
except
I was-
Florida.
No, Atlanta. They're all over Atlanta.
No, it's outside the perimeter.
Well,
that
that's
they
what I
are.
mean. Yeah, you know.
When I was in middle school and we had like field trips or like quiz bowl or some shit like that,
Yeah.
like outside of where we had to go and spend the night, it was always Shoney's Inn.
Yeah.
Like we always stayed at a Shoney's Inn. I don't know if there was like
hotels
Because they have hotels, but
it was like Howard John's. It was like a Southern Hojo.
yeah, but
Okay,
you'd stay there because you get the free breakfast with.
Right, yeah. But it was like a weird sort of racket. I don't know what the connection was, but there was like some sort of thing where it's just like, oh, we're staying at Another Shoneys in.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up, and we've referenced this to no end, and I've been saying forever I was gonna go check this place out. One of our favorite pro wrestlers on the show, we talk about all the time, Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, bought a Shoneys franchise outside of Atlanta and made a big to-do about how he was renovating the whole thing. And I've been saying this shit for years now, that eventually I was going to go check this place out. And I'm here to report, I fucking went.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Did I tell you this good night that I went to the damn...
I'd seen the pictures and everything.
Yeah. So I'm going to put these up on our Twitter. So first of all, the food was actually pretty good. I'm happy to report, like, it was...
yeah, because most of the Shoneys I went to were really bad.
Yeah.
Like, there would always be, like, the breakfast buffet, and they would have these, like, small flapjacks. But, for what I remember, they would always have way too much cottage cheese. It would always just be... That's the thing I always remember, that they would have the big, like, metal... like container of cottage that never moved, because nobody was touching that cottage cheese. You know.
The thing about this Shoneys that makes Big Papa Pump Shoneys different, he's got a fucking bar.
No way.
And I actually talked to somebody who I met up with who lives in Ackworth, Georgia, where this place is. And I had asked him specifically about the Shoneys before I went, and that was the first thing he said. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, it's got a fucking bar." That's
wow.
And so everybody was really
Like, seriously, does it have like a club or anything in it too?
No, just it's got the bar, and then and I'm glad I asked the waitress, by the way, because she came and I was like, she was like, "Oh, can I get anything else for you?" And I didn't want to look like too much of a nerd, but I was there by myself, and I was like, you know what, fuck it. So I asked her, I was like, "This is the Shoneys that's owned by Scott Steiner, right?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, did you go look behind the bar? Did you see the cabinet?" And I was like, "The cabinet?" And I walked behind the bar, and there's a ceiling to floor gigantic cabinet with all of the dude's memorabilia in it.
Oh my god! Holy shit!
And he's got you can see there's the WCW championship belt, and
He has like a wrestling buddy.
yeah,
like
he's got all this shit, and apparently a great guy to work for. That was the other thing, she was just like, she was like, they're just like the nicest people. And Scott Steiner has a reputation in the wrestling world for being a crazy person,
But it's the character.
but it's kind of
But in
character.
the restaurant world, though,
He's a
probably a
serious
serious,
businessman.
responsible businessman.
Yeah. So anyway, if you find yourself in Ackworth, Georgia, the
Was
damn
there anything
Shoneys over
specific
there.
on the menu with that one that was different?
No, it didn't occur to me until later to go to the bar and look at the cocktail menu on the off chance they would have a Steiner screwdriver as a drink. But
They may.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Freak-tini!
Yeah. It's
But
Do they still have the thing that's like a Big Mac, but it's like the Shoneys Big Mac?
no.
It's like it's the whole same thing, like 2 all beef patties, the special sauce,
Oh, okay.
lettuce, cheese, but it's like with the Shoneys hamburgers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
I know Burger King tried to do a Big Mac.
Big King.
Big King,
Yes. Yes. They didn't even try to hide it.
Well, McDonald's had a Whopper too at one
yeah,
point.
big and tasty.
Yeah, and then it was the big extra.
Or as I mistakenly ordered it when I was drunk one time in college, the big and nasty.
Pretty much what it was.
I was just looking up here from Business Insider. These are the biggest failures in fast food history.
Oh, no way. Okay.
I was just going to run these down and see if you remember any of these, because this one happened basically right when I moved to Los Angeles. Do you remember the McDonald's wings?
No.
I don't remember
Yes.
that. Was that a West Coast thing?
It was here. So
Yeah.
if you're listening at home, we recorded in East Hollywood, and right up on Vermont Avenue, just about a block away, we have a McDonald's. And I
right.
remember coming home one night after doing stand up, and they were putting up this huge banner that says McDonald's Mighty Wings.
I remember.
And I was
now.
like,
Yeah.
that sounds fucking
Did they have
horrifying.
bones?
Yeah, they had bones.
Because it came out around the same time in which 7-Eleven was making their wings.
Is that who they were? That was really.
Which for some reason smell like hot dogs. I don't understand.
Right.
Was that just like some McDonald's?
I think it was.
Could have been.
Because you get those regional kind of things. Like, you ever have go to a McDonald's had the pizza?
Yeah,
No,
that's on here.
McDonald's has
That's on
pizza?
here
I
actually.
didn't
Yeah.
know about that.
There was the food court. Virginia Commonwealth University had a McDonald's at one point that had the pizza and a thing called bucket of fries, where you could get a drink, a drink cup full of fries.
I in Texas, some McDonald's had when they had those supersized fries. They had humongous fries, which was in a giant supersized cup, and it was only like $1. It was like you were like dumb not to get it.
This thing on here,
Making me I was just thinking about it.
So it mentions the pizza. So
But
McDonald's
I like that
offered.
they're mighty wings.
The pizza tasted like when y'all get a pizza on the Amtrak.
I once had pizza at 7-Eleven. It was terrible.
I seen these guys go to 7-Eleven, what is it, National in Venice.
Yeah.
They go in, they're all going to get the $5 pizza, whatever. I see them all excited about it. I'm leaving the 7-Eleven. I see them handing it to a homeless guy after they tried one slice of this shit.
McDonald's offered pizza in the late 80s and early 90s. This made-to-order pizza didn't go over too well with customers who weren't fond of the long wait times, and also most people prefer to purchase their pizza elsewhere. So
Okay.
the other one this one is fucking horrifying. McDonald's Hula Burger.
I don't remember that.
No, I don't remember. It was just like pineapple.
Yeah, so the Hula Burger was McDonald's failed options for Catholics who couldn't eat meat on Friday during Lent. The sandwich combined pineapple and melted cheese.
Was this for Catholics in Hawaii?
I guess so. Hawaiian Catholics.
It has no meat. They just put
It's
pineapple
just
in
a
it?
pineapple. Yeah, it's pineapple and
that's a terrible
cheese.
idea.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Then the other one that I really love is the McDLT.
Hot side, hot, cold side, cold. This back in the
Which
days.
is just a burger with lettuce and tomato.
No, but here's the thing. Back in the
also
days,
known as a burger.
No, but back in the day, when in the 80s, you used to get these styrofoam containers that came with your Big Mac, and they stopped selling them because they lasted like a million years in a landfill. This came with a double container to keep the lettuce and tomato cool. While you have on the other end, you just have the bottom of the burger and the bun.
Well, yeah, because I remember that was around the time of like the McLean Deluxe.
Yeah, that's right on this list too.
That was the one. It had like Larry Bird as the pitchman.
Oh,
for it.
Larry Bird had his own burger for a while.
No,
it was a
Michael
Boston
Jordan
area thing.
definitely did too.
There was a feud like that.
Oh my
Jordan
God.
burger.
Jordan did, and Bird had like a Boston area
Probably.
one.
Yeah.
McDonald's attempted to appeal to dieters in 1991 with the McLean Deluxe, a burger that was marketed as 91% fat-free. To make up for the absence of fat, the burgers were infused with water and seaweed extract.
Sure.
Maybe they got it from Arby's.
Yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
Jordan burger? I don't remember.
It was only like here and there when he was huge.
Hurry to McDonald's for Michael Jordan's McBacon Deluxe. 2 tempting all-beef patties and savory bacon for a limited time. It's good! Break for yours today.
And it's like, I can't imagine Michael Jordan ever eating that.
Well, I mean, if you've ever seen Michael Jordan's jeans, you know that guy doesn't have any taste. So maybe
Well, if you ever go to a Dunkin' Donuts, you'll see all the New England Patriots allegedly eat there, but I don't think so.
I don't think so.
because I remember there was that spell of time where like Michael Jordan. I mean, this is like I always have a theory that like Michael Jordan was like a great basketball player, but people consider him the greatest because he just like attached himself to so much stuff. And
He was a
ubiquitous.
cultural phenomenon.
And it was funny because there was like Michael Jordan's favorite. So I remember there was the Michael Jordan favorite Gatorade, which was citrus cooler. There was the Michael Jordan burger. There was like a certain like Michael Jordan Hanes underwear.
He was always
It
good
was
at
like, but it
branding
wasn't
himself.
just like it wasn't like General Hanes. It was like the Michael Jordan special.
Well, because he'd come to fame because of his tie-in with the Nike sneakers.
Yeah.
So there was that get Jordan's brand. So then he figured. Do you remember he would do that with everything? Because even Rayovac and Jordan sort of joined forces, and he would wear that Rayovac earring in the commercials.
I do not remember the rail.
Isn't that just like a lightning bolt?
Yeah,
essentially. Yeah,
it was like a little round thing with a lightning bolt in his ear.
Burgers and fries and cherry pies. It was simple and good back then. Walking in the sand, hand in hand, never thinking that it could end. Said making all love with the moon above at the drive-in picture show. And it was burgers and fries and cherry pies in a world we used to know.
The other one on here that's horrifying, Taco Bell's Bell Beefer.
That sounds like what happens every time you eat Taco Bell.
So this says, even though Taco Bell's slogan is think outside the bun, the taco chain did make a taco burger, bun and all. Customers were not intrigued by the ground beef taco burger.
It's kind of like a sloppy Joe.
Yeah, it's exactly what it
Del
looks like.
Taco has one of them.
Was it linked up around the time when because Taco Bell also had that like unfortunate run of like picking movies to attach themselves to?
Yeah.
Like their cross-branding decisions were always like hilariously bad because they had like a small amount of time where they linked up for like Demolition
Yeah,
Man.
I still think every time I go into Taco Bell, I remember that movie because didn't they have a thing in that movie where Taco Bell was like the only fast food that had survived into the future?
It's really, really strange you mentioned that because I watched Demolition Man this very morning.
It was cosmic.
It's on Hulu. I woke up this morning and was like just trying to find something mindless to watch on Hulu, and boy did I find the most mindless fucking thing that exists. I watched Demolition Man this morning, and it's still great.
Was Grace Jones in that? Or she had the song Demolition Man?
Yeah, she had the song Demolition Man.
Yeah. But they don't even play her version. They play the Police, the original version.
Oh, I thought it was hers.
No, it's a Police song originally.
But they play that at the ends. But yeah, Demolition Man.
Yeah, because they linked up with Demolition Man. They linked up with Congo. Because I remember I had.
Oh my God! I remember.
They really knew how to pick them.
What intriguing child's toy did you get?
Ernie Hudson.
A watch,
Ernie Hudson's
dude. I
big
got
comeback.
a Congo like watch that just had like the Congo like poster.
Yeah.
On the like it's like a shitty like imitation Swatch watch.
Right.
With,
they did have Star Wars though.
Did they?
When Star Wars
I
came
guess
back,
so.
Who did?
Taco Bell. When
All three Pizza Huts had their own location in Star Wars. Remember that?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Pizza Hut was supposed to be like the Senate, and Taco Bell was like the place where they had the race.
Oh,
I'm
no,
saving you the nerd language, Pat.
No. This is not for the prequels.
And KFC.
Not for the prequels, mind you. The when they re-released the special editions in 1997, Taco Bell had everything.
You're right.
Yeah, because you'd go and that was because you're right, Pat. Because they always had the shittiest damn toys and the weirdest movies.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden they had Star Wars. I was like, whoa.
I think they had a Judge Dredd link up.
Do you remember? Do you remember when Burger King had the Pokemon toys? Like when Pokemon was a craze.
Yeah.
I remember going into a Burger King and it was like the Beatles or something because there was like a line out the door and they just had like the box out.
Yeah.
And just giving people the Pokemon because everybody was buying these things.
Jesus. Yeah, I kind of do remember that. And I remember Burger King got lucky with the Simpsons as well. Oh. They were like when the Simpsons, I think it would have had to have been like the 10th anniversary of the Simpsons.
Sure.
So like 2001, 2002 or
Yeah.
something like that. They had Simpsons toys and that was a big thing too.
So funny is like when you're a kid, you don't even realize all the marketing coming at you. You just think, oh, it's normal to have Demolition Man right with my fucking taco. They have no
funny
reason to be put together at all.
A central plot point of Demolition Man, and I can speak with some authority, having seen it just 3 hours ago, is that some dystopian future where like PC police have taken
So
over.
it's like nowadays Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, it's San Angeles, please. It's the megalopolis of San Diego and Los Angeles, San Angeles. But there's a plot point of like every time you swear, like a little box will go like, you are now fined 1 credit for morality breach, and so Stallone's just standing by and going like,
I'll be right back. Thanks a lot, you shit
fucker, and it's just shit, and it's just spitting out tickets at him. So a great kids movie.
And Snipe, like it's just like
It sounds kind of funny.
No, it's hilarious. It's a fucking good movie.
Well,
I'll
what?
fight anybody.
Was it Dennis Leary in it?
Yeah,
Dennis Leary is
in it.
and he just is doing his MTV promo at one point.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to eat fucking,
I want to listen to a Playboy and smoke a cigarette.
Right, I want to drive slow in the fast lane and litter.
Here's the thing. Here's some jokes that I stole from Bill Hicks. All right, I love smoking. Yeah, like
So
He was in a lot of movies, I think, at that time, just as himself.
Pretty much.
Now he's in Dodge Ram commercials as himself.
no, it's Ford commercials.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Dodge
Watch
is the
enough
other guy, right?
I watch enough football that I'm.
Which is Dodge?
get my
the guy from
full-
Gettysburg.
Yeah, Sam Elliott. But
Other things too.
other things too.
Beef. That's what's for dinner.
Yeah, it is.
is that Sam Elliott?
That's Sam Elliott. Yeah.
Unless you go to Taco Bell or Arbys, apparently.
Yeah. That's right. It's reconstituted powder.
I love guessing voiceover work. Which giant star is doing like voice? I love it. John Hamm is Mercedes. You're like, that's John Hamm.
Have you ever seen the commercials where they have a guy that sounds just like Morgan Freeman, but it's not him?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's not the Allstate guy.
No, he sounds just like Obama, but it's not him, I think.
Yeah, that's Pedro Serrano from Major League.
Yes, right. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Hot for bat.
Yes. Up your butt, Joe Boo.
I think that's one of those movies that I think if you look at the movies that I've seen the most, Major League is number 2 and Bloodsport's number 1, but Major League is
I've
very
seen
close.
Major League 20.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a completely useless fact, which is I literally realized this summer I watched Platoon, which has Tom Berenger and Charlie Sheen in it.
Right.
So does Major League. And this is a true movie fact. In the movie Platoon, Charlie Sheen plays a character named Taylor, and in the movie Major League, Tom Berenger plays a character named Taylor.
Oh.
Jake Taylor.
That's right, Jake Taylor. That's it. That's
It's like
the
Duran
useless
Duran.
fact.
Major League 2 is so terrible.
Back to the Minors?
No, not back to
Well, they're not very ambitious because they don't even win a World
Back to the Minors
Series.
loops back.
Is Back to the Minors
being
3?
Yeah, Back to the Minors is 3.
Oh, 2.
2 is the one where they like
They
have a
just
new
replace Wesley Snipes with Omar Epps.
Yeah, and then they have then they have just like this random like Japanese guy that just like is obsessed with balls, and then Serrano is a Buddhist for some reason, which makes no sense because it's not like Buddhist. Well, I guess maybe it is prevalent in certain islands. in the
Well, I would
Caribbean.
say like what I loved about 2 was that the Wild Thing, Charlie Sheen's character Wild Thing, he had just become like a yuppie douche. and his whole arc is rekindling the Wild Thing. He like dates some girl who's like, you got to class it up, and he's just like, isn't he like in a suit all the time? Doing ads.
How many Major Leagues were there altogether?
3. There was Major League 1, Major League 2, and Major League 3 back to the minors.
Okay. Because after the first one, they win the pennant, right? Or they get to the pennant, but they lose to the Yankees?
No, they win the pennant, but they lose the World Series. And then the next one, they win the World Series. And the third one, I didn't make it through the entire thing. So
I've only ever seen the first one. I just the only context clues I have about the second one was the preview used to come on before Ace Ventura on my VHS tape. So I'm very familiar with the preview for Major League 2, but haven't actually seen the film.
One of the funnier things in Major League 1 is at the end when Wild Thing is coming out of the bullpen to relieve the guy Eddie or whatever, and they play that song Wild Thing, and the crowd's going nuts. They keep because the walk is only like probably 40 seconds, and they have to keep cutting back, and he's like walking forever like the movement to make the Wild Thing.
And then they have to like he's warming up while it's playing, which is just absurd.
Here's the pitch. Going!
Oh no, not the damn song again.
Look out in the cheap seats. The funniest team in baseball is back for their best season ever.
All the way!
Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn.
What was that last pitch you threw me? I call it the Eliminator.
And when the guy that plays the manager, Lou, the guy who's like, give him the heater, Ricky, that guy. He died. I read his obituary. Very interesting guy. Like he worked at like a muffler shop or something in San Diego. It's a weird background, and then got into theater. And he did a play with Sean Penn, and Sean Penn has worked with a million actors. He said, this guy might be the best actor I've ever worked with.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Give him the heater.
Hey, man, that's Hollywood for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you get recognized by Sean Penn, and then you make your break where like your ass is hanging out of a hospital gown. That's like
right.
the big gag.
God. Yeah.
For your character. Wait, no, was that 2 though?
Might have been 2.
Yeah, it's 2 because Taylor takes over as the manager because the manager has a heart attack.
That's
and
right. Yeah.
I always get them conflated with the exception of like there's always like the switch of Willie Mays Hayes, which is always like the weirdest like cognitive dissonance. It's just like watching Bloodsport movies where they switch over from Jean-Claude Van Damme to whoever they have playing Jean-Claude Van Damme as Frank Dukes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Wesley Snipes was good in that as Willie Mays Hayes. He was good.
Yeah,
Unlike
Willie Mays
Hayes.
Hayes.
Hit like Mays. One of those.
He I always love the hammering the gloves on the wall with like the airbrushed.
Oh, for every
the airbrushed Willie Mays Hayes, where he like even before he gets famous, he's like, I want an apartment with my name Willie Mays Hayes airbrushed on the wall, which is amazing. It's just like Ricky Henderson's like my favorite baseball player of all time. So it's just like, yeah, this is like the perfect fictionalization of Ricky Henderson of all time. Yeah. The only one really, but you know. They set the bar high.
There needs to be more Ricky Henderson-based movies.
Oh my God, Ricky Henderson is so amazing. Like we were talking down like before the show about the posters, like the sports posters, where it's just like back in the late '80s, early '90s, sports heroes were just idealized on a completely different level than they are now.
The Boz.
Yeah.
Remember the Wizard of Boz, where he had the Bozkins with him?
Yeah.
Remember the Admiral? Who the guy that was the Admiral?
That's David Robinson.
He had the one where he was wearing the Admiral's uniform, and it was...
Yeah, my dad knew David Robinson before he played in the NBA.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, my dad worked at that base.
Oh, no way.
You could see David Robinson all around. But yeah, they would have like the Bo Jackson double, like the
iconic Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
he was like a sports road warrior,
the ball player.
Yeah, or like all the different ones, like, and it's just like they're up on a different level. But yeah, Ricky Henderson was one of the like. I remember watching when Ricky Henderson broke Lou Brock's record, and like he like declared himself the greatest of all time.
Lou Brock was the symbol of great base stealing, but today I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Is one of the greatest like sports. I think it was like.
Wasn't he still like playing when he was like 44?
Yeah, something like that.
That's the best example of sports hubris, I think.
Which is, almost a trivia. It's awesome in some ways.
Yeah, because I remember that when I was a kid, I would collect baseball cards, and there was this one. They had this run where I think they had like Herb Ritz or somebody like that doing the photos for the sports stars, and like the big one was that was like well known that people were like going gaga over was like there's one of like Jose Canseco not wearing a shirt and a pair of like Jordache jeans or like Lee jeans, like swinging, like all the ladies were just like, Jose Canseco. Yeah. But the one that gets lost in the mix is there's one where it's Ricky Henderson in like kind of like the normal fashion photography set with like kind of the weird background that looks like sponge painted, and it's black and white, and he's wearing like literally the smallest underwear you've ever seen. And it's just like, not to be outdone, Ricky Henderson is just gonna like sex it up more than Jose Canseco. Wow. Which it wasn't received to the same level as Jose Canseco, but it's just so funny because it's like Ricky Henderson, just like Ricky's gonna wear the smallest underwear that Ricky can find. He's gonna have a baseball card where his like goods are falling out.
Don't mess around with the demolition man. I'm a walking nightmare and nothing full of doom. I kill conversation as I walk into the room. I'm a 3-line fit. I'm the sort of thing they ban. I'm a walking disaster. I'm a demolition man.
So a weird thing happens on the show from time to time. We have a mysterious newspaper that turns up at our door called the Disgrace Line Picayune.
Sometimes the dog eats it.
Yeah. I'm just going to read this story, and you guys just tell me what you think. It became part of the morning routine for track coaches at Holmdel High School in Holmdel, New Jersey, to show up to work, walk the track, and spot a pile of human excrement on the ground.
No.
Eventually, they reported their findings to school officials, who set up a sting to bust the perpetrator.
A shit sting.
Shit sting. On Monday, they found their man.
The midnight shitter.
42-year-old Thomas Tremagalini, who happens to be the superintendent of the school system. He was arrested at 5:45 a.m. Tremagalini has been charged with lewdness, littering, and defecating in public. He's
littering?
Littering.
Lewdness. Who was there?
He's now
except these cops waiting all night to see somebody shit in the park.
He hasn't spoken up yet since his arrest and has rebuffed repeated attempts by reporters to get his side of the story, and that's left local newspapers to to probe the community for their thoughts on the man dubbed the Pooperintendent.
I say they let him go just for the mirth that the name Pooperintendent has brought to the world.
Wow.
If your doggy does it, it's legal, but if you do it, you go to jail. What the hell kind of country is this coming to, man?
Yeah, so the cops apparently set up a camera and then found out that it was the superintendent who's been
That's
pooping on the track.
Really humiliating. I mean, I wonder if I can what's more
Take this job and shit on it.
Well, but he did it a bunch. Like it's clearly malicious.
Yeah,
Like
it was
that's
like every day.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if it happened once. Then it would just be embarrassing.
Clearly, he's
but
not
this-
happy with his job. Was the first thing I think.
Yeah.
And it's the same spot every night.
Yeah.
Or whenever he's feeling like.
So there's definitely an OCD to this.
Well, he got arrested at 5:45 a.m., which means he was out there at the break of dawn,
I think the
basically.
same spot was the mistake because if he's shit in random places, they might just think, I think bums are coming through here. In the night.
Right. But it was always on the track, you know.
But
So he's trying to leave a message in a way.
Yes, yeah.
But isn't like in a lot of places the superintendent an elected official?
I thought
Yeah,
so.
there's a picture of him, by the way.
So he was.
He looks pissed off.
Mad.
I bet he is.
Oh my god.
So he was like
man
was
hates
him
his job.
running for superintendent the way in which he could just like get access to like go on the track.
But here's the thing, then it makes you suspicious because you're always there.
Yeah.
Because if he just went through there every night and took a shit, who'd know?
Well, one of the things that I always remembered when I read this story and I read stories like this, I remember in the early days of the Daily Show when Craig Kilborn hosted it. Do you remember that they had this like running thing on the Daily Show about the like the library system in some random town in the United States where somebody would like get copies of the song of the book Daddy's Roommate and take shits in it?
No, I do not.
And it was called it was like during the Unabomber like thing. So it was like it was the Unipooper, and it was like this running thing that like I think
Well,
like
this is a running thing too.
no, but
How do you hide that you shit in a book?
Yeah, but it's like I think it was like Stephen Colbert's like first thing on the Daily Show was him going to this like place in Illinois where this person was like taking like dumps in this book and they would get new copies of it, and and it was like this running thing.
How
that, like,
discreetly was he dumping in this book?
it was like I don't like it goes
How
to the
can you
back-
put it in special collections when it's serially shit in like that?
Wow. They didn't revoke his library card.
Yeah.
It's like
man.
DNA checking, but yeah, it was like when I read that story, it's just
He does it subtly too. Like nobody notices somebody just
but
shit
it's
in the library.
Oh man.
I can't. There was one story I read once, one like News of the Weird story about a guy who was caught in a bathroom taking a dump, smoking a joint, and he had like a 6-year-old in the stall with him or something. It was like insane, like the amount of like bizarre.
Jesus.
It's really the 6-year-old that makes it weird.
Yeah, I know.
Because otherwise, it sounds like a
And
good
it
night
was
to
like
me.
at like a Kroger or something. It was just like the weirdest.
Okay, that makes it
thing.
really weird.
And there was like something else that was.
Maybe he was just minding his kid.
like he had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something else weird.
This
that was,
is
like, thrown in there.
this is future news of Anthony Weiner.
I always love those layers that they always throw on those things where it's just like I love the things where it's like the story where it's like, oh yeah, that's mildly kind of, and then they just like the punchline comes in where it's like the completely unexpected sort of where it's just like there was the one where it was like in my town that I went to high school with where it was like a guy who had it was engaging in like he was naked by the Best Buy, engaging in Congress with a tree because he had smoked too much synthetic marijuana.
They call that jungle boogie.
Yeah, which like that alone is like all right, and then like
He was in the mood for some
then
hard
the
wood.
punchline was when the cops came to approach him, he was just like, "Stay away from my wife!" Like that was like like the wife thing. There's always like those stories. I always love that. It's just like. Oh yeah, the
Well,
guy's
to be
taking a
fair, in Greek mythology, wasn't there a woman who turned into a tree eventually?
Probably.
We see, maybe back then this is how legends started, and now it's just something on the police blotter.
So
there
Narcissus
is,
was the
like,
guy who was just fucking flowers or something?
Yeah, some weird guy they found in a parking lot beside like the Athenian Agora or something like that.
I feel like once every few months there's a guy caught having sex with a mailbox.
Yeah, that's a...
Well, it's not like the mail's going to come. It's not like the postman's going to come by and catch you.
Yeah. I feel like that's a common one.
Yeah.
Probably all drunk and high.
Yeah. No,
You got to have a big one though to get a tight fit out of a mailbox like that. So I compliment you. You packing some big stuff.
Well, I mean, I think it's just any old thing that's around, you know.
Yeah.
Those folks that are altered in that way, where they're just like, you know what, it's there, and it won't kill me.
Yeah. Raj, where can people find you on the internet, sir?
Probably Twitter is the best at _Raj Desai. RAJDESAI with an underscore.
Yeah, definitely follow Raj, and if you're ever in Los Angeles, come see Raj when he's performing live, because he's, as we said at the top of the show.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think
And
one of all three of our favorite comics in the whole city.
Yeah,
so.
and one of the things that's great also is that even if you're not in LA, Raj is pretty prolific as a writer. I mean, you've probably seen stuff that Raj has written on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, check out the Sarah Silverman show, I Love You America, on Hulu. I've been writing for it, and check it out. We need the ratings.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, and be sure to check out Raj on Twitter. We'll link that on our Twitter. You can find us at The Goods Pod, and you can find us Facebook.com/The Goods Pod. Every episode ever, YouTube.com/The Goods Pod. Big shout out to our friend Richard Eden up there in the Klondike doing the hard work at TheGoodsPod.com. Pat, what should the folks do when they get to iTunes?
Rate, review, subscribe. Tell a friend. Shows the attitude of gratitude.
If you don't have the attitude of gratitude, then fuck you.
Song of the week this week, Messan. He's from the country of Gabon, and the song is called "Keep Cool."
And we'll see you next week. The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.